Don't drink that. The words left Selam's mouth before she could stop them, her hand moving on pure instinct as she knocked the wine glass from the table. The deep red liquid splashed across the white tablecloth, spreading like blood across pristine snow, soaking into the expensive fabric of the man's suit jacket. Silence crashed through the private dining room. 6 men in dark suits reached inside their jackets. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. Selam's heart hammered against her ribs as she stared at the ruined table, at the wine dripping onto the floor, at her trembling hands that had moved without her permission. "I'm so sorry, She looked up and the words died in her throat. The man she'd just drenched was watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. His face was sharp angles and shadows in the dim light, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her. A dragon tattoo curved around his neck, disappearing beneath his collar. The intricate scales, visible even in the low lighting. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe early 30s, devastatingly handsome in the way dangerous things often were. "Everyone out?" he said quietly, not taking his eyes off her. "Boss?" One of his men started. "Out." The command in that single word was absolute. His men filed out reluctantly, casting suspicious glances at Selam. The door clicked shut. They were alone. Selam's mind screamed at her to run, but her feet wouldn't move. Something about his face held her frozen. Something familiar that she couldn't name, like a word on the tip of her tongue that refused to form. "Why did you do that?" His voice was calm, controlled, but she heard the steel underneath. "I don't know." The truth felt pathetic. I knew you shouldn't drink it. I knew." He stood slowly, wine dripping from his jacket. He was tall, she realized, towering over her. But instead of stepping back, Selam found herself leaning forward, drawn by something she couldn't explain. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. "Kang Tae-yang." Everyone who worked at the restaurant knew. The private room on the top floor was always reserved for him and his associates. The staff had been warned to be perfect, to be invisible, to never ask questions. You're a businessman." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Is that what they're calling it now?" He tilted his head, studying her. "What's your name?" "Selam Desta." Something flickered in his eyes. His hand moved toward her face and she flinched, but he only brushed his fingers near her temple, not quite touching. "You have a scar here. It's small, but it's there." Her hand flew to the spot. She did have a scar, a tiny crescent moon shape she'd had for as long as she could remember. "How did you? Who are you?" The question was barely a whisper, raw with something that sounded like pain. "I'm just a waitress. I've only been in Seoul for 8 months. I work here and at a coffee shop near Hongdae. I live in a tiny apartment in Ethiopian with 2 roommates. I'm nobody." "You're lying." He caught her wrist, not hard, but firm. His thumb pressed against her pulse point. "Your heart is racing. You recognize something in that wine. How?" "I don't know." The frustration in her voice surprised them both. "I don't know how I knew. I just looked at it and something in my head screamed danger. I've had feelings like that before, like my body knows things my mind doesn't. The doctors said it's because of the accident." "Accident?" 3 years ago. I woke up in a hospital in Addis Ababa with no memory of who I was or how I got there. They said I was found near a burned building with head trauma. I only know my name because I had an ID card in my pocket. The words tumbled out, things she never told anyone. Everything before that day is just gone. Tae-yang's grip on her wrist loosened, but he didn't let go. His thumb traced small circles on her skin, unconscious, like a habit. 3 years ago, he repeated. "You were 19. How do you know how old I am?" He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the window, pulling her gently with him until they stood looking out over Seoul's glittering skyline. "That wine was poisoned," he said finally. "A rare compound that mimics a heart attack. Untraceable unless you know what to look for. How did you know?" Selam's head began to throb, a familiar pressure building behind her eyes. Images flashed. A laboratory, glass beakers, a man's voice explaining chemical compounds. Her father? She didn't know. I see things sometimes, fragments, like snapshots from someone else's life. Not someone else's, yours. He finally released her wrist and she felt the absence of his touch like a physical loss. Selam Desta, daughter of Dr. Amadi Desta, one of the most brilliant chemists in East Africa, and the girl I thought died 3 years ago. The room spun. Selam grabbed the window ledge for support. You knew me? Your father saved my life when I was 19. I was shot during a business dispute that went wrong. He found me bleeding in an alley near his clinic, patched me up, never asked questions. I owed him everything. Tae-yang's reflection in the glass looked haunted. When I had the resources, I tried to repay him. Sent money, protection. But he refused it all. Said a true healer doesn't accept payment from those who walk in darkness. Selam's knees weakened. She slid down to sit on the floor, back against the wall. Tae-yang crouched in front of her, careful not to touch her again. He had a daughter, he continued. She was brilliant like him, studying chemistry at university at 16. She had a smile that could light up a room and a scar on her temple from falling out of a tree when she was 7. I met her a handful of times when I visited her father. She was kind to me even though she knew what I was. Stop, Selam whispered. Her head was splitting now, memories trying to claw their way to the surface. 3 years ago, I received word that someone had targeted Dr. Desta. He'd discovered something, stumbled onto a trafficking operation that was using chemical compounds to control their victims. He was going to expose them. Tae-yang's voice cracked. I sent my men to protect him, but we were too late. The building burned. They found his body, and his daughter's ID card in the rubble. No body. I thought you died because of my world, because helping me had put a target on his back. If this forbidden romance between a lost girl and a dangerous mafia boss has you hooked, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because this story is about to get even more intense. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Selam's memories will save them or destroy them both? Let me know your thoughts. No. But even as she denied it, Selam felt the truth resonating in her bones. Images cascaded through her mind. Her father's smile, the laboratory, fire, screaming, running, strong hands pulling her through smoke. An explosion. Then nothing but darkness and pain. Tears streamed down Selam's face without her permission. I don't remember him. My father. I don't remember his face. Tae-yang's composure finally cracked. He sat beside her on the floor, his shoulder touching hers. Amadi Desta had a laugh that made everyone around him smile. He had reading glasses he was always losing. He loved terrible puns and jazz music. He called you his little scientist and said you'd change the world someday. Each detail struck like a physical blow, fragments fitting into empty spaces in her soul. Why didn't I die? Someone pulled you out. I've spent 3 years trying to find out who. The same people who killed your father are still looking for you, I think. They want to make sure whatever he discovered stays buried. And you. Selam turned to face him, their faces inches apart. Why do you care? Because I owed him a debt I can never repay. Because his daughter deserved better than what my world gave her. Because... He stopped, jaw clenching. Because what? Because the last thing your father said to me before he died was, protect her. And I failed. They sat in silence, the weight of the past pressing down on them. Outside, Seoul hummed with life, oblivious to the shattered girl and the guilt-ridden man trying to piece together a tragedy. The people who did this, Selam said eventually, are they the same ones who poisoned your wine tonight? Yes, the Bayek family. They run chemical trafficking routes through East Africa and Korea. They've been trying to absorb my organization for years. Marriage, business deals, and when those don't work, assassination. He looked at his wine-stained jacket. Tonight was attempt number 7. How do you live like this? You accept that death is always one step behind you. You trust no one completely. You build walls so high that nothing can touch what little humanity you have left. He stood, offering his hand. But you shouldn't be anywhere near this. I'll arrange protection for you. A new identity if needed. You can disappear. No. Selam took his hand, let him pull her up. She didn't let go. They took 3 years of my life. They murdered my father. I want to remember. And I want them to pay. Selam, you said I was brilliant once, that I studied chemistry. Maybe I can help. Maybe I know things that could expose them. It's too dangerous. If they find out you're alive. They tried to poison you tonight. I'm already involved. She squeezed his hand. Besides, you owed my father a debt. Maybe this is how you repay it. Help me remember. Help me finish what he started. Tae-yang studied her for a long moment. You're as stubborn as he was. Is that a yes? It's a promise that I'll keep you alive this time. He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. My men will secure your apartment, bring you somewhere safe. You can't go back to your old life. I didn't have much of one anyway. Selam realized she was still holding his hand. His fingers were calloused, scarred. Fighter's hands, but his touch was gentle. Can I ask you something? Anything. Earlier, when you touched me, you seemed like you were remembering something. What was it? A muscle in his jaw twitched. The last time I saw you, you had just gotten that scar. You were running through your father's clinic, laughing, being chased by a cat you'd smuggled in. You ran straight into a table corner. I caught you before you fell, and your father cleaned the cut. You were crying, but trying not to show it. You were brave even then. The memory hit her like a wave. Bright sunlight, the antiseptic smell of the clinic, strong arms catching her, a deep voice saying, "You're okay, little scientist." She gasped, swaying. Tae-yang steadied her. What is it? I remember you catching me. Not clearly, just a feeling. Safe. I felt safe with you. His expression shuddered. That was a long time ago. I'm not that person anymore. Neither am I. A knock at the door interrupted them. One of Tae-yang's men entered, spoke rapid Korean that Selam could only partially follow. Tae-yang's face hardened. The wine has been tested. Potassium cyanide compound laced with a masking agent, exactly like the chemical your father was investigating 3 years ago. He turned to Selam. They're sending a message. They know you're alive. How? The only way they could. Someone talked. Someone in my organization. Betrayal flashed across his face before the mask slipped back into place. We need to move. Now. The next hours blurred together. Tae-yang's men surrounded her, moved her through back corridors and into a black car with tinted windows. Seoul's streets streaked past in ribbons of light. No one spoke. The tension in the vehicle was suffocating. They arrived at a building in Gangnam, modern and sleek, the kind of place that cost more per month than most people earned in a year. Tae-yang led her to a penthouse suite, all glass and steel and minimalist luxury. You'll stay here. My most trusted men will guard the building. Don't go near the windows. Don't answer the door for anyone except me. He moved through the space with practiced efficiency, checking locks, closing curtains. Where will you be? Finding out who betrayed us. The dragon tattoo on his neck seemed to move in the shadows, and making sure the Bayek family understands that attempting to kill me comes with consequences. Tae-yang. Selam caught his arm before he could leave. Thank you for protecting me. Don't thank me yet. You might end up hating me before this is over. But he covered her hand with his just for a moment. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start working on recovering your memories. I have resources, doctors, therapists. We have 48 hours. Why 48 hours? His jaw clenched. Because in 2 days I'm meeting with the Beck family to finalize my engagement to their daughter. If we're going to stop them, we need evidence before then. Your memories might be our only weapon. What if I remember and it doesn't help? What if I don't know anything useful? Then at least you'll know who you are. That's worth something. After he left, Selam explored the penthouse like a ghost haunting her own afterlife. Everything was pristine, expensive, cold. She found the bedroom and collapsed on the bed, exhaustion finally catching up with her. But sleep brought nightmares, fire everywhere. her father's voice shouting at her to run, chemical smoke burning her lungs, hands grabbing her, pulling her through flames, an explosion that threw her into darkness, and through it all, a man's voice whispering, "I'll find you. I'll always find you." She woke screaming. Tae-yang was there somehow. He sat on the edge of the bed, careful not to touch her until she reached for him. Then he held her while she shook, murmuring words in Korean she didn't understand, but whose meaning was clear. "You're safe. I'm here. Breathe." "How did you know?" she asked when she could speak again. "The guards called me, and He hesitated. "I couldn't sleep either. I keep seeing the fire, wondering if I'd gotten there 5 minutes earlier, if I could have saved him. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? He died because of connections to my world." Selam pulled back to look at him. His eyes were bloodshot, shadows underneath deep enough to drown in. Fresh blood stained the collar of his shirt. He'd changed jackets, but missed that. "You're bleeding." He touched his neck absently. "It's nothing. One of the men who betrayed us fought back. Let me see." She reached for his collar, and he caught her hand. "I said it's nothing." And I said, "Let me see." She pulled his hand away, unbuttoned the top of his shirt. A knife wound, shallow but ugly, cut across his collarbone. "This needs stitches. I've had worse. That's not the point." She stood, found the first aid kit she'd spotted in the bathroom earlier. "Sit still." As she cleaned the wound, her hands moved with a confidence that surprised her. Threading the needle, making precise stitches. Her body remembered even if her mind didn't. "Your father taught you," Tae-yang said quietly, watching her work. "I don't remember." "You're doing it anyway. Muscle memory. Maybe that's how we unlock the rest." He winced as she pulled a stitch tight. "The therapist I've hired specializes in trauma recovery. Dr. Kim is the best in Seoul. She'll be here at 8. "When did you last sleep?" "Sleep is a luxury I can't afford right now." "That's stupid. You'll get yourself killed making decisions when you're exhausted." She tied off the final stitch, covered the wound with gauze. A genuine smile flickered across his face. "There's the stubborn scientist. Your father would be proud. Tell me about him. Please. I want to know." So Tae-yang talked. He told her about Ahmadi Desta's clinic in Addis Ababa, how he served the poorest neighborhoods with dignity and compassion, how he'd lecture anyone who would listen about chemical compounds and their applications, how he'd met Selam's mother, who had died when Selam was young, and how he'd raised his daughter alone. "You were his world," Tae-yang said. "Every conversation we had, he'd work you in somehow. How you'd aced another exam, won another award, proved another professor wrong. He was terrified you'd follow him into medicine because he wanted you to have a safer life. Ironic, considering what happened. What about you? Did you always plan to be a businessman?" His laugh was bitter. "No one plans this life. My father was a low-level enforcer for the Kang organization. He died when I was 12, killed in a territorial dispute. My mother drank herself to death 2 years later. The organization took me in because I was useful, smart enough to be valuable, angry enough to be dangerous. By the time I was 25, I'd climbed high, enough to take control. Now I run an empire built on blood and fear. Do you regret it? Every day. And never." He looked at her with those dark, haunted eyes. "This life took everything from me. But it also gave me the power to protect the few things I care about. I just wish I'd had that power 3 years ago. You can't save everyone, Tae-yang. I couldn't save anyone who mattered. Not my parents, not your father, not you from losing your memories and your life." Selam took his hand, threaded her fingers through his. "You saved me tonight. That counts for something." They sat in silence as dawn broke over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. Somewhere in the city, enemies plotted and danger waited. But in that moment, in the quiet sanctuary of the penthouse, 2 broken people found unexpected comfort in each other's brokenness. Dr. Kim arrived precisely at 8. a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s with an air of clinical competence. She set up her equipment in the penthouse living room while Tae-yang watched from the doorway, arms crossed. "I'll need privacy," Dr. Kim said. "No." Tae-yang's tone left no room for argument. "Mr. Kang, if you want me to help her." "He stays." Selam surprised herself with the certainty in her voice. "I feel safer with him here." Dr. Kim's eyebrows rose, but she didn't argue. "Very well. Selam, I want you to lie down on the couch. Close your eyes. We're going to try hypnotic regression. I'll guide you back to the night of the fire. Don't fight the memories. Let them come." Selam lay back, her heart already racing. Tae-yang moved closer, sat on the floor beside the couch where she could feel his presence. Dr. Kim's voice became low, rhythmic. "Think back 3 years. You're in your father's laboratory. What do you see?" Images flickered behind Selam's closed eyes. Beakers, Bunsen burners. Her father bent over a microscope. "I see equipment, glass everywhere, the smell of chemicals." "Good. What else? What do you hear?" "My father. He's talking to someone on the phone. He sounds upset. He's saying, 'I have proof, documentation. You can't silence everyone.'" Selam's breathing quickened. He hangs up. He sees me in the doorway. He looks scared. "What does he say to you?" "He says, 'Selam, you need to leave. Go to your aunt's house. Don't come back until I call you.'" "But I don't want to leave. I'm arguing with him. I'm saying I can help, that we're a team." Selam's body jerked. Smoke. There's smoke coming under the door. Fire alarms ringing. My father is grabbing files, USB drives, shoving them in a bag. He gives it to me. He says, "Run. Hide this. Don't let them find it." "Who is them?" Dr. Kim pressed. "I don't know. I don't." Selam's eyes snapped open. She sat up, gasping. "The bag. He gave me a bag with his research. I was supposed to hide it. What happened to it?" Tae-yang's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and went completely still. "We need to stop. Now." "Mr. Kang, we're making progress." "I said now." He stood, already moving toward the window. "We have company." Selam heard it then, the sound of breaking glass from somewhere below. Shouting. Gunfire. "How did they find us?" Dr. Kim's clinical calm shattered into fear. "They didn't have to find us." Tae-yang pulled out his gun, checked the magazine. "Someone told them exactly where to look." He looked at Dr. Kim with eyes like winter. "How much did they pay you?" "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't insult me. The Bike family doesn't recruit random civilians. You've been on their payroll for months, haven't you? Waiting for a client valuable enough to betray." Dr. Kim's hand moved toward her bag. Tae-yang was faster. He had his gun aimed at her head before she could reach whatever weapon she'd hidden. "Don't." His voice was soft, deadly. "You're only alive because I need to know what you told them. Everything." Dr. Kim's composure crumbled. "I told them about the hypnosis session, that." She was starting to remember. "They said if she recovers the memories of where her father hid his research, the Bayek family is finished. They needed to eliminate her before." The window exploded inward. Tae-yang threw himself over Selam as glass rained down. Men in black tactical gear rappelled through the opening, weapons raised. His guards rushed in from the hallway, and the penthouse erupted in chaos. "The panic room!" Tae-yang hauled Selam to her feet, pushed her toward the bedroom. "Go. Not without you." A bullet whined past her ear. Tae-yang returned fire, dropped one attacker. 2 more took his place. They were outnumbered, outgunned. Selam's survival instinct kicked in, the same instinct that had made her spill the wine. She grabbed the vase from the side table, heavy crystal, and hurled it at the nearest attacker. It connected with his temple. He went down. "Kitchen." She pulled Tae-yang with her. "The gas line. If we can create an explosion." "Too dangerous. You could die. We'll definitely die if we stay here." She was already moving, her body remembering her father's lessons about chemical reactions, about controlled burns. She twisted the gas knob on the stove, didn't light it. Gas began hissing into the room. 60 seconds, she told Tae-yang. Then we run and you shoot the stove from the hallway. The spark will ignite the gas. You're insane. I'm a chemist. She grabbed his hand. Trust me. They ran. Tae-yang's guards covered their retreat, falling back toward the exit. Selam counted in her head. 50 seconds. 40. 30. They reached the hallway. Tae-yang turned, aimed carefully at the stove's pilot light mechanism. Everyone down, he fired. The world exploded. The blast threw them down the hallway. Selam's ears rang. Fire bloomed through the penthouse, driving the attackers back. Through the smoke, she saw bodies, both attackers and defenders. Too many bodies. Move. Tae-yang pulled her toward the emergency stairs. Behind them, the fire spread, triggering sprinklers, alarms screaming. They burst into the stairwell. More attackers below, coming up. Tae-yang fired until his gun clicked empty. Selam grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, aimed the nozzle and sprayed. White foam filled the narrow stairwell, blinding everyone. They ran upward instead of down, to the roof. Now what? Selam gasped as they emerged into Seoul's morning light. The roof was flat, empty except for HVAC units and a helipad. Now we jump. Tae-yang pulled her toward the edge. The building next door was close, maybe 6 feet away. Below, the street yawned 30 stories down. You're joking. Do I look like I'm joking? He holstered his empty gun, took her face in his hands. I'll go first. When I land, you jump. I'll catch you. Tae-yang, trust me, like you did with the gas. He kissed her hard and fast. I'll always catch you. Then he was running, a sprint across the roof, launching himself into space. For a heart-stopping moment, he was airborne, suspended between buildings. Then he landed on the other roof, rolled, came up in a crouch. Your turn. Behind Selam, the roof access door burst open. Armed men poured out. She didn't think. She ran. The edge of the building rushed toward her. She jumped. For a moment she was flying. Wind rushed past, the city spreading below in dizzying geometry. She saw Tae-yang reaching for her, saw the roof approaching too fast. His arms closed around her. They tumbled together, rolling across the neighboring building's roof. Her shoulder screamed in pain, but she was alive. She was alive. She'd made it. That was the most reckless thing I've ever seen, Tae-yang said, still holding her. I learned from the best. She kissed him because she could, because they were alive against all odds. Gunfire sparked against the roof edge. Their pursuers were preparing to jump too. Time to go. Tae-yang pulled her toward this building's roof access. My men are waiting 3 blocks. From here. If we can reach them. They ran. Hours later, in a different safe house across the city, Selam sat with ice on her shoulder while Tae-yang coordinated with his remaining men. 4 guards dead. Dr. Kim had escaped in the chaos. The penthouse was destroyed, and they still had no proof against the Beck family. 36 hours, Tae-yang said, ending his call. He looked exhausted, the dragon tattoo stark against his pale skin. 36 hours until the engagement meeting. We're out of time. No. Selam stood, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. We're not. The bag. My father gave me a bag with his research. I remember now, after the explosion. After you pulled me from the fire, I was still holding it. What happened to it? Tae-yang's eyes widened. The explosion separated us. You vanished. I thought. He pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke rapid Korean, listened. His expression changed. One of my men found a burned bag in the rubble. He kept it, thought it might be evidence. He's been storing it for 3 years, waiting for orders. Where? My family's old house, in Busan, 3 hours from here. He was already moving, grabbing keys, a jacket. If the research is still readable, if it survived the fire, then we have our weapon. Selam's heart raced. Let's go get it. The drive to Busan was tense. They took back roads, changed cars twice, used every evasion tactic Tae-yang knew. But Selam couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched, followed. herded towards some trap they couldn't see. "You're quiet," Tae-yang observed as they passed Daegu, thinking about what comes after. "If we expose the Baek family, if we survive this, what then? You're still a criminal. I'm still a girl with 3 years of missing memories and a dead father. What kind of life can we possibly have? An honest one." He reached over, took her hand. "I've been thinking too. About leaving this world, going legitimate. It would take years, cost me most of my power. But for you, don't." She squeezed his hand. "Don't give up everything for me. I won't be the reason you lose yourself. You're the reason I found myself." He brought her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles. The gesture was so tender it made her chest ache. "I was dead long before the Baek family tried to poison me. Just going through motions, building an empire that meant nothing. Then you walked back into my life and reminded me what it felt like to want something more than revenge." "I'm scared," she admitted. "Scared we won't survive this. Scared we will and won't know how to live with each other. Scared I'll remember everything and wish I hadn't. Fear means you're alive. Means you have something worth protecting." His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his jaw tightened. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The Baek family knows we're going to Busan. They've sent people to intercept us." He accelerated the car, surging forward. "Hold on." The attack came as they entered the city limits. 3 black SUVs converging from different directions, boxing them in. Tae-yang drove like a madman, weaving through traffic, but they were persistent. Gunfire shattered the rear window. Selam ducked, glass raining over her. Tae-yang returned fire one-handed, still driving, the car screaming through narrow streets. "The house is in Gamcheon," he shouted over the noise. "The culture village. Lots of alleys, lots of tourists. We can lose them there." They careened into the hillside neighborhood, all colorful houses and art installations and terrified tourists diving out of the way. The SUVs followed, too big for the narrow passages. One clipped a wall and fell back. The other 2 kept coming. Tae-yang abandoned the car in a dead-end alley. They ran on foot, climbing stairs, cutting through houses, apologizing to startled residents. Selam's lungs burned, but she didn't stop. "There." Tae-yang pointed to a small blue house halfway up the hill. "That's it?" They burst through the door. Inside, the house was frozen in time. Old furniture covered in dust. Family photos on the walls. A younger Tae-yang stared out from the frames, before the dragon tattoo, before the hardness. "Basement," he said, leading her down creaking stairs. The basement was full of boxes, old memories, things his mother had saved. In the corner, a metal lockbox. Tae-yang opened it with shaking hands. Inside, a burned, water-damaged bag. And inside that, wrapped in plastic, USB drives and a waterproof notebook. Selam opened the notebook with trembling fingers. Her father's handwriting. Chemical formulas. Names. Dates. Locations. Everything they needed to destroy the Baek family's trafficking operation. "We have it," she whispered. "We actually have it." Footsteps on the floor above. Voices. The Baek family's men had found them. Back exit. Tae-yang grabbed the evidence, pulled Selam toward a narrow door. It led to a tunnel, an old escape route from Korea's war days. They crawled through darkness, emerged in a different alley 3 houses away. Tae-yang made a call. "I need extraction. Now. And I need a secure uplink to every major news outlet in Korea. It's time to end this." They were extracted by helicopter from a school playground, the Baek family's men watching helplessly from the ground. Back in Seoul, in a bunker beneath one of Tae-yang's legitimate businesses, they uploaded everything. The files went live at 6 p.m. By 7 p.m., every news station in Korea was running the story. By 8 p.m., international media had picked it up. By 9 p.m., the Baek family's empire was crumbling, arrests being made, victims coming forward. Selam watched the news coverage in stunned silence. Her father's work, finally vindicated. His death, finally meaning something. "It's over," Tae-yang said, standing beside her. "You did it. You finished what he started. We did it. She turned to him, saw something strange in his expression. What's wrong? Minji, the police, tried to arrest her at her family's compound. She escaped. And Selam, he hesitated. She left a message. For you. He played a voice recording on his phone. Minji's cold, cultured voice filled the room. Congratulations, Selam Desta. You've destroyed my family, my empire, everything I built. But you missed something. Your father's research? He didn't just document our operation. He created it. The compound we used to control victims. His formula. He sold it to us before he grew a conscience. You're the daughter of the man who made trafficking easier, more profitable. How does that feel? Selam felt the room tilt. That's not true. She's lying. She has to be lying. I don't know. Tae-yang pulled her close. But it doesn't matter. Whatever your father did or didn't do, you stopped it. You saved people. That's what matters. But what if she's telling the truth? What if I've been idolizing a man who caused all this suffering? Then he was complicated, human, flawed, like everyone. He tipped her chin up, made her look at him. Like me. Like you. We're all trying to survive in this world, making choices that haunt us. But you chose to fight. That's what defines you. Not what your father may or may not have done. Selam wanted to believe him, but doubt had planted itself in her heart like a thorn. The next weeks were chaos. Testimonies, more arrests, the Baek family structure collapsing. And through it all, Selam wrestled with Minji's accusation. She combed through her father's research, looking for evidence he'd created the compound. She found notes, formulas, dates that didn't quite add up. Finally, she found it. A letter, hidden in the back of the notebook, addressed to her. My dearest Selam, if you're reading this, you know what I did. I created the compound for medical purposes, to help coma patients, to ease suffering. The Baek family stole my research, weaponized it. When I discovered what they'd done, I threatened to expose them. That's why they came for us. I'm so sorry for the legacy I'm leaving you. I tried to fix my mistake. I hope you can forgive me. I hope you can do what I couldn't, stop them. All my love. Always. Dad. Selam read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down her face. Her father hadn't sold the compound. He'd been betrayed. His life's work, twisted into something monstrous. She showed Tae-yang the letter. He read it silently, then pulled her into his arms. He was a good man who made a mistake, he said. Just like you're a good woman who's been through hell. You're both survivors, both fighters. He'd be proud of who you've become. I miss him, she sobbed. I miss him so much and I barely remember him. Then we'll build new memories, better ones. We'll honor him by living well, by choosing light over darkness. He tilted her face up. Marry me. She blinked through tears. What? Marry me. Not because it's safe or strategic. Not because we've been through trauma together. Marry me because I love you. Because you make me want to be better. Because every day with you is a gift. You're serious. Completely. I know it's complicated. I know my world is dangerous. But I'm asking anyway. Because I'm selfish enough to want you forever. Selam looked at him. Really looked. At the scars he carried, visible and invisible. At the dragon tattoo that marked him as dangerous. At the eyes that held so much pain and hope and love. Yes, she said. Yes, I'll marry you. Because you're right. It's complicated and dangerous and nothing about this makes sense. But I love you anyway. I choose you anyway. He kissed her, deep and desperate, like he was afraid she'd disappear. When they finally pulled apart, both were crying. Your father would probably disapprove, Tae-yang said. Maybe. Or maybe he'd understand that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone worth fighting for. A month later, they stood in a courthouse in Seoul. No big wedding, no ceremony. Just them, a judge, and 2 witnesses. Selam wore a simple white dress. Tae-yang wore a suit that couldn't quite hide his tattoos. As they exchanged vows, Selam thought about the wine that had started everything, the instinct that had saved his life, the memories that had returned piece by piece, the love that had grown in the spaces between danger and hope. "I do," she said. "I do," he echoed. They were married. Outside, Seoul sprawled in all its chaotic beauty. Somewhere in the city, remnants of the Bayek family plotted revenge. Somewhere, new dangers waited. But in that moment, Selam felt at peace. She'd found her memories, found justice for her father, and found love in the most unexpected place. She'd become the woman her father raised her to be, strong, compassionate, unafraid to stand up for what was right. And she'd found a partner who, despite his darkness, walked beside her toward the light. The wine that had started everything, spilled in an act of instinct, and salvation had led them here. To this moment, to this choice, to this love. It was messy and complicated and probably doomed in 100 different ways. It was also absolutely perfect. 6 months later, Selam stood in the laboratory her father had once used, now restored and operating under her direction. She was continuing his legitimate work, helping trafficking victims recover, using chemistry to heal instead of harm. Tae-yang had funded the project, used his connections, now increasingly legitimate, to protect her work. "Dr. Desta?" One of her assistants poked her head in. "There's someone here to see you." Tae-yang entered, and Selam's breath caught. He was bleeding, a fresh cut above his eyebrow, his knuckles raw. "What happened?" "Minji. She came for you at our apartment. I was there." He sat heavily in a chair. "It's over now. She won't be coming back." Selam didn't ask what he meant. Some things were better left unsaid. She cleaned his wounds silently, her hands steady, despite her racing heart. "I'm trying," he said quietly, "to go legitimate, to leave that world behind, but sometimes it follows me anyway." "I know." She kissed his forehead, gentle over the cut. "I married you knowing who you are, all of you, the darkness and the light. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway." She pulled back, looked him in the eye. "I'm pregnant." He went completely still. "What?" "I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. I found out this morning." She watched his face, trying to read his reaction. "I know we didn't plan this. I know the timing is terrible, but..." He stood so fast he knocked the chair over. Then he was kissing her, fierce and tender at once, his hands cradling her face like she was something precious. "A baby," he whispered against her lips. "We're having a baby. Are you happy?" Terrified, overjoyed, scared I'll be a terrible father, determined to be better than mine was. He rested his forehead against hers. "Yes, I'm happy. So happy I don't have words for it." They stood there, two broken people who'd found each other in fire and blood, now creating new life. Outside, the world continued its complicated dance. But in that moment, wrapped in each other's arms, they had everything they needed. "What should we name them?" Selam asked. "If it's a girl, Amadi, after your father." Tae-yang's hand settled on her still flat stomach. "If it's a boy, we'll figure it out together." "Together," she agreed. "Everything together from now on." As evening fell over Seoul, they left the laboratory hand in hand. The dragon tattoo on Tae-yang's neck caught the light, a reminder of who he'd been. But his other hand held Selam's, a promise of who he was becoming. The wine that had started everything had led them here, to this moment, to this love, to this new life growing between them. It was messy and complicated, and probably doomed in 100 different ways. It was also absolutely, perfectly real. And in a world built on lies and violence, real was everything. If this story of forbidden love, second chances, and finding light in the darkest places touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of love to transform even the most broken souls. And comment below telling me what you think happens next for Selam and Tae-yang. Will their baby bring them peace, or will the shadows of their past catch up to them? Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching this journey with me. Until next time, keep believing in love that defies all odds.